It's 2:00. Time for the May Division 8 meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. And by the way, it's May 20th. We know that. And guess what? This is our annual meeting. What does that mean, Bob? What does it mean?
It means that some weird law somewhere says that a corporation has to have at least one annual meeting a year. And this is it.
Here we are. It's in our bylaws, so we follow the rules. We're rule followers. Here's our housekeeping notes. Zoom participants. Rob, make sure everybody's muted out there. Now that the meeting started, and you folks here in the room, I see a couple grabbing their phones now.
Double check.
I muted mine. I remembered early today, so I'm not up here struggling myself. So if you have to emergency call, please not only go outside the room, but go outside the library, because we're at a library. And presenters, other than myself, we need to make sure you're talking into the microphone, or we'll repeat your statement for you from the audience, so the folks at home can hear us. And presenters, we're trying to save money, so we didn't put an X, we made just a line up here. You'll see it, it's blue, bright blue.
That's dark blue.
Visitors, I don't see any visitors here today. Oh, Russell's here in person for the first time in a very long time. And of course, Ruthie's here. Ruthie is a visitor, technically.
Yes, technically, I mean.
But she's kind of a regular visitor, so it's always nice to see her. Oh, Lake Eric is with us too, just joined. Eric Wagner, I guess clock ran out of batteries. Rob, do we have any visitors online?
I don't see any.
Okay. Well, we won't welcome them then. And Miss Barb was kind enough to already make sure everybody signed in. Okay, great. Minutes from the last meeting were posted on the website. Did everybody see it?
Posted?
Oh,
Second.
okay. Next problem. Oh, yes. Speaking of Mike. It's the treasurer. Oh, thank you, Bob. Keep an eye on me. It's been a month since I did this.
All right.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
We didn't vote on the minutes. All those in favor of approving the minutes as posted online?
Aye.
I think that's enough. So approved.
Okay. Treasurer's report as of yesterday. On the expense side, any other questions about the treasurer's report?
I'm sure everybody has a question about our new t-shirts, Mike.
Well, I figured you would get to that in due
Mike
time.
is modeling the new t-shirt up here in front of you.
There's 4 or 5 of them here already.
The formal announcement will be in the June pie card, soon to be out.
Yeah.
So if you don't care, you just like what you see, send us an email. We'll get one on order
How
for you.
big do they come?
They come big enough for you.
Hey, if I can't find a 5X, I don't buy it.
I have to say that there may be a slight extra charge of $1 or $2 for some of the 3 or larger sizes. I'm not sure. I'll have to inquire about that, but if you're interested in one, I'll get you the exact price.
Okay.
Is navy or black the only colors?
What color would you? No, Bill, I can get you a multitude of colors. I'll send you a list
Okay.
if you want a different color.
Well, it's just, I got some black t-shirts. They're kind of hot.
I can fix you up.
All right.
I'll send you a list of the colors. No problem.
Just don't get yellow, you might lose the locomotive.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mike. Can we have a motion to approve Mike's report?
So
We have a second?
Second.
David, thank you, David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion approved. All right, moving on to committee reports. Member welfare, Mike Barry.
Okay, this month, a little busy, kind of sadly, but Katie Tipton, Rick Tipton's wife, been struggling quite a bit. We won't go into all of that, but she is home now. So she was in the hospital, home now. At this point, we have sent Katie a get well card. When she's feeling better, I will contact Katie and Rick and see what kind of a gift card she would like. She really probably couldn't care less right now. So we'll get to that. Because she was in the hospital. And then Phil Alley had some shoulder surgery, I believe, outpatient surgery. So he got a card. And then I guess everybody saw the email in the last couple of days. Rick Maloney's father passed away. So we sent Rick and his family a sympathy card. So that's it for member welfare for this month. As I always say, if you hear of anybody, know of anything, please let us know, myself or at least one of the board members, so we can get cards out to these people. We don't want somebody to be sick or whatever and nobody pays any attention to it. That's terrible. So if you hear something, let us know, please. In fact, I got a phone call at lunchtime today. Bob Johnson's not here today. He's not in the hospital or anything. He's home awaiting the arrival of a kidney stone. So he thought he'd better stay home for that. So, well, anyway, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And just to reiterate what Mike just said, Mike is supposed to be in Europe right now. And I've neglected to inform my assistant superintendent, so Mike's name is not on the official agenda today. But everybody needs to let us know, even if you think somebody else might know, go ahead and remind us. Mr. Norman.
Cecil.
With the achievement program.
Cecil's receiving a merit award here for patent transfer, a structure that he built, did a wonderful job on. And we have a few more in the pipeline. Congratulations, Cecil.
Smiles.
Well done, sir.
Cecil, while you're up here, did you win a prize, an award at the last convention with Pittsburgh for one of your models?
No, I didn't
No?
make anything.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw that you did. Well, you probably deserve one. You do some nice work. Barry, it's time to talk about the monthly modeling contest. Cabooses.
So a big thank you to Mark Norman for giving our announcements for the last 2 months of my absence. Much appreciated, Mark. And we would just like to send out a big old invitation, not only to all of our contest participants, but to the membership in general, to fill up these empty tables with lots of your handiwork, any type of model. It doesn't have to be a model that was entered into that month's contest or is that month's category. We just thought it would be fun to start showing each other our work more and more. So that is an open invitation every time we meet here. And we have now made arrangements for that to happen online as well. So all of you online participants in the minutes before the meeting starts, we'd love to have kind of a chance to see some of your work on the screen here, and for everyone online to see it as well. And I'll share a reminder with you all from time to time that we'll be doing that. Now to Caboose, we have 6 entries in our category this month. And for honorable mention, we have Jacob Butler. He did a Chessie system bay window caboose with one of those amazing schemes that Chessie used to put on, a lot of different ones they did. And then Bob Frankrone did a L&N caboose there, also a bay window. And then for Joe Martin for his Illinois Central Centralia caboose. So those are the ones built at Centralia shops that you find stuffed and mounted all over the Midwest nowadays. So we're appreciative to our honorable mention folks. Now for third place today, we have Rick Geertz, and he did a UP police caboose. So that's a really interesting story that you can read about. How that all happened, where the police were using cabooses, and Rick really made it look like it's been out on the road. And then congratulations for second place for Steve Lasher, and he's got his proprietary road there, BCRN caboose there that he put together. And then finally, for first place today, we have Ed Brennan, and it's the L&M Little Woody caboose that's prototypical for the L&N in the earlier days. So congratulations, Ed, for your first place, and I will track you down at some point and get you your certificate. Is Ed online by any chance today?
I don't see it.
No, he's not.
We'll find him.
Thanks, Ron.
So coming up next month is the last category of this current model contest year, and that's open loads. And a lot of us love having fun and creativity with open loads. So we'll look forward to seeing a lot of good work with that. And then 2 months from now, we'll be gathering at Entertainment Junction in Cincinnati for our annual picnic. And we will be announcing the winners for this model contest year and presenting the awards and certificates. So we will see you then.
Barry, should we be intimidated by the fact that we have a nationally known modeler of open loads in our club?
No, you should be challenged.
Okay.
Yes, and inspired. You should have lots of good ideas, and you can even consult with him. So that's my opinion. Okay, have a good day.
Bob's a good guy.
Right, yes.
Speaking of Bob Dawson has a few encouraging words to say.
I don't know how encouraging you are. What I'm begging is what I'm doing today. Always asking the pack card for articles and photographs. I thought I'd get a little more to the point. Number one, articles and photographs. Don't be intimidated by articles. It doesn't have to be a big long thing. If you want to, it can be, but just about something either modeling that you've done, you've seen, a prototype railroad you've been to or know about or anything like that, a fact, anything you want to do. Same way with pictures. You know, a lot of us nowadays are carrying around a camera with us almost all the time. So think about it. If you're at a trade show, if you're at a convention, then take some pictures, especially if there's people there that we know. It would be nice to take pictures of them. What you can ask on pictures is have a caption with the picture and give some idea of where you took it. If you don't, I'll probably just get back with you and ask anyway, but at least to give some idea to come up with a picture. And I want to thank also, we have some regular contributors, and some of them are in this room. I want to thank them and keep on sending this stuff in, but I would like to get some new folks also. An article can be, I prefer it in Word, or it can be in the body of an email. Please, no PDFs. You don't need to do any page layouts or anything like that. I'll take care of that. The photos, a JPEG. You can either send it as part within the article somehow. If it's in Word, if I need to get it out and use it for some edited in any way, I can do that. But the biggest thing is no PDFs. Photos, because of copyright purposes, it'd really be nice if they're your photo. If they're not, if they're really old photos, you probably entertain a motion, put them in the pack card, or if you have the photographer's permission. So in other words, if you want to grab one off railpictures.net, send us something indicating that you have gotten the permission of that person to use that. Otherwise, that's kind of off limits. You can send them to the email address that's in the pack card, and that'll work. And the last, but I think is also, if you're in the achievement program, these count for points towards author in the achievement program. Look it up, get with Mark, he'll tell you what all the little details are, but they do count. And so I forward to people, send stuff in. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. A good example of that, you may have wondered why Bill Lynch's pictures are always in the pie card. Why is that, Bill?
I sent them in.
You sent them in to Bob.
Exactly, he sends them in. And
Crazy.
also
How does that
have
work?
pictures.
Thank you, Bill, for your, usually takes some pretty good pictures too,
Yeah.
so nice to see. Oh, our guest, Mr. Weiss, is with us, joining us live today. Of course, he'll tell you why in a minute.
Will I?
I think he will.
So nice to be here in person and seeing all you guys instead of in the little screen there. So today, yours truly will be presenting a presentation on mail and express operations. Barry Christensen and I, about 15 years ago, did this. And so in that 15 years, we've done a lot more passenger train operations on my layout. So we're going to kind of go into more on that as I've updated a number of the slides. So I hope that you'll enjoy that and maybe even think about doing some of that on your own layout. Next month, our own Fred Sowert is going to be talking about his layout and the railroad that he's modeling after in some of the constraints and, are we going to do this and how can I make it more like this and so on. So that should be a fun and interesting presentation also.
Just a reminder, the meeting is early next month on June 10th. And so we should have reminded you when Barry was up here, the contests are also due start at the end of May because of the early meeting in June.
So like Bob, I would also like to throw in a little plug and tell you that, before the pandemic, so many of you, many in this room and some that aren't here today, would come up and give a talk. Like Stan and Bob Kukler did one on backdrop painting, just the way it worked out. I chose Stan and the layout looked so much better, and it was all just because he did a presentation here, and I said, I think I kind of would like to see that on mine. So then the pandemic hit. Again, we started doing more, obviously, Zoom, and I was also able, with some suggestions from the members, to get people outside the Division 8, outside the MCR, and so on, and it's been really helpful. Now that the pandemic's over, we would like to, again, have you guys, the members, start giving more of your presentations here. And I need a lot of you to step up and kind of like what Bob was saying, that whether it's pictures or just a little something that you've been working on, and tell us how you're doing it. I know a lot of you have shied away from the Zoom because either your at-home internet connection was not the strongest, or you didn't know how to do the PowerPoint and so on. And I get it, but we're now back here. So go ahead and step forward. Let me know what you can do. If you have seen a presentation, I've heard of one outside of the division, again, let me know and try to be kind of specific. Well, I heard Joe Blow at this convention giving this, and I think this is his or her email address, and we'll try to take it down from there. So thank you, and back to you, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Speaking of things coming up, hopefully you all saw in the information update that came out Wednesday, the initial announcement about the Green Tree Mall on Father's Day weekend event. And we happen to have with us one of the ramrods of that event. Darcy, would you like to come up and say a couple of words? He wouldn't, but that's fine. I put him on the spot. I know all about it because Darcy and I have talked. But this is an event that was put together by the Southern Indiana Railroad in conjunction with the Louisville connecting lines to kind of recreate the event that they had. When was that? Last fall? December. Yeah, for Christmas. At the Green Tree Mall, but they've negotiated a little better spot right in the front of between Penny's and Texas Roadhouse, if you're familiar with the Green Tree Mall. And they're looking for help because they're two smaller clubs. And they're looking for Division 8 members to come and help run some trains. This is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 16th, 17th, and 18th of June. All you need is an HO train. If you don't have a Digitrax throttle, I can loan you one, or you can bring your Wi-Fi enabled throttle. And Division 8 will be there. We're also looking for some folks to help us staff a NMRA table similar to what we do at the train show. What I miss that's important, Darcy?
No, we're looking for a bunch of people who want to have a good time running trains. And, you know, maybe interacting with people, but we can, really shy, we can stick inside the layout, have some Indiana members talk outside.
Yeah, there'll be something for you to do. If you don't want to do any of that, come to the mall and see the trains. And you don't have to do anything except appreciate the hobby that we're all in. Thanks, Darcy.
Well, thank you, and I would like to say that this all started because of you, Mr. Elson, in Division 8. Because originally they approached Division 8 back in December for the travel, right?
Yeah, and I was able to pass it on to an associate, which I was happy to do. Okay, summer picnic. You know, seems like when we first announced this, it was cold, it was winter time, but now that it's warming up and things are getting green, I'm starting to think, you know, the picnic is getting closer. So don't forget, it's not, still plenty of tickets left, but don't wait too long. We've had several people buy tickets this week. And it's a very good value. We're talking, you know, Division 8 is spending about $80 a person for this event, but we're only charging you all $15 because we're picking up the rest of the slack because we love you all.
So Ron, about how many wag on how many seats are left of us?
Just a few. You better get your ticket while they're available.
I did.
Don't not order because we don't have any tickets, because we have an emergency backup plan, but don't wait too late because we need to have a certain number of people attend or else we can't afford to do this because there's a charter bus involved. So if you're thinking about going, please get your ticket. If you need to borrow $15, talk to me. I'll see if we can. I don't charge a lot of interest, but we'll help you. And don't forget NMRA X. We have two we're talking about right now and others to come, both in May, next weekend, next Saturday from 10 to 1. And then the following month at the end of June, June 24th. You can learn a lot by watching these. And if you don't get around to it, if you're busy, you're mowing the lawn or out with a family, it's sometime afterwards, like the same as we do, posted to YouTube. Oh, look at there. We're done. But this month we're lucky because Fred is doing one of his back to basics presentations.
I am. Thanks. All right, I know we're a little long this month with the business meeting, but we'll just keep on going here. So back to basics. We're going to talk about Under the Rails, Part 1. It has nothing to do with Snidely Whiplash or Nell. Man, it's a tough crowd today. Or Dudley Do Right. Ah, there we go. All right. They're like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Okay. This has to do with prototype railroad roadbed. Can you guess what part 2 and 3 might be? And modeling that stuff. Absolutely. Well, we'll get there later. So we're not talking about the rail. We did that in a back to basics ages ago. We're not talking about ties. We're not talking about tie plates, not talking about spikes or any of that stuff. We're talking about all the stuff that's below that. So this is out of the UP's common standards. And I'm going to refer to common standards here quite a bit as we go through here. That's what we're talking about though. All of this stuff below the ties, below the rails, below the spikes and tie plates and so on and so forth. So we're talking about ballast, we're talking about sub ballast, the sub or finished graded and the natural ground. And one of the reasons I'm kind of being a little bit generic about this is because different railroads refer to these as different things. And different ways to do this, and different slopes, and. But why do we have roadbed to begin with? Well, first one is drainage. Drainage. Because if you don't have drainage, you got crappy roadbed, which means the trains aren't going to run well, or they're going to go, like your Lionel set went off the side, right? Not good stuff. It also bears all the compression of the trains going across on the rails, the ties, and so forth. And if you've ever stood rail side, you know that stuff flexes all the time. It's not because it's bad roadbed, it's because it's good roadbed. If you fly in an airplane, you see the wings go up and down sometimes, a little bit, especially in rough weather. They're supposed to do that because if they were rigid, they wouldn't go up and down, they go break. And that would be a bad thing on an airplane, just like it'd be a bad thing here. So you want a little bit of flex so that it can do that. It takes care of vegetation and overgrowth, which is going to get in the way of running the trains. Little sidebar here. When the folks who bought the McLeod River Railroad were trying to move equipment out of McLeod and up the hill to the switchback to get it into Mount Shasta, where the interchange is, to get it to where they were sending the equipment, they couldn't get it out because the fools, quite honestly, who were in charge, did not clear the little bit of vegetation that had grown over the rails in the last 3 years, since they hadn't run anything up and down the rails. So what did it do? It smashed the vegetation. It wasn't much, but it smashed the vegetation down as they ran the locomotives across, and then it just started spinning and spinning and spinning because there was so much, it just wouldn't go. No amount of sand would help. They sent a crew out there to clean the rails, to clean the track, the right of way. It took them about 3 weeks to do it. And then after that, they made another run up the hill. And amazingly enough, it all worked just fine. Just like it used to when McLeod ran stuff. Okay, and it holds the track in place. That's the last thing here. So bottom line, if you're going to do this and you want to follow your prototype, you've got to get hold of the common standard plans. Don't be going out there roadside, on the right of way and trying to measure what the angle is and so forth. Go get hold of the common standard plans. Most of them are online. Interestingly enough, you will not find the Southern Pacific common standard plans online that you can read from. That's because someone got them and published them as 4 separate books. Okay. Most of the other main lines in the US, I was able to find. I'm going to share a couple of them with you here. Oh, and by the way, those books are still available on some book selling sites for a premium. I have all 4 sets because I was patient and waited till I could get them at a good price. The average price of those 4 books individually is about $65 each. And they're only, about a ½ inch thick. They're not that big. They're cool, but I didn't pay that much for any one of them. All right, so the big thing, the big discussion, and this is actually going on in a couple of groups, IO groups of which I'm a member, is what is the slope? What is that angle on the edge of the ballast itself? Most of the railroads I found are 2 to 1, which is not what you think it was, but 2 to 1. You can see here, this is BNSF, And BNSF pretty much went with what the BN had, Burlington Northern had, and the railroads they acquired. Most of them were 2-to-1. And Santa Fe, of course, was a 2-to-1 railroad also. What about CSX? Well, CSX is also a 2-to-1. You can see I've circled it down there in the bottom right, bottom left corner. Okay. And this was revised 1997. So yeah, kind of sort of current. Okay. Here's Norfolk Southern, NS, also 2-to-1. But you know, not everybody is going to be that way. Here we've got Kansas City. They're a 3-to-1 railroad on that slope. And the board, AKA Union Pacific, also 3-to-1, which kind of surprised me actually. Most of the SP traffic, and Cecil probably knows this already, is a 2-to-1 slope. Okay. Well, how do you figure out that actual angle? You go get an online tool from the engineering toolbox if you really want to do this. Or you just watch my slides here. I'm going to tell you the two most common, which is 2-to-1 and 3-to-1. And there's all the math. Radians and degrees and tangents, and screw that. I use the online tool. I use the online tool. And there's the tool. It's a screenshot, okay? So you do the X, okay, which is the long one. And then you do the Y, which is the vertical one. And you click calculate, and it says, lo and behold, it's 26.6 degrees. Okay, jot that down, remember that. Or you do 3-to-1 and it's 18.4, that's degrees. So everybody go home and measure your cork or your foam or your homobed, or don't worry about it, okay? I'm getting there. Most model railroad ballast slope is a 30-degree slope or 45-degree. It's one of the two. Now, homobed that Russ and I have used, and I went back all the way to the original homobed guys. I found it on the Internet Archive. I could actually get to their website and said, what are they selling? And it was 30 or 45. The guy in Creola, Washington, who's since gone out of business, also was 30, 45. And the new guy now in Texas, also 30 or 45-degree slope. Prototype railroad ballast, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1. 26.6, 18.4, 14.0. None of them are right. So you're going to have to mill your own. That's the only way you're going to get it right, guys. Or you just say, you know what? Close enough. Who's going to care? Who's going to get down on your railroad and measure that with a protractor? Okay. Maybe Steve Lasher. Okay. Steve's online, so I can throw a rock at it right now. Okay. Is anybody else going to get out there and worry about it that much? No. A straight line down, obviously wrong. If it's sloping way out there, probably wrong. Although we probably all have pictures, and I have plenty of pictures of ballast that is non-existent. It's in the mud, or it's sunk down so bad over the years that is basically flat line. And we're talking not mainline stuff, but branch lines, industrial areas, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't sweat it too much. Nice to know, good to know. I wouldn't worry about it too much in my modeling, quite honestly. As long as it looks kind of sort of, that's fine. And I'm telling you, some of these guys in this one group's IL group are just, they are intense. They are intense. There's this one guy that has actually, I built my own because I wanted to be exact like the prototype. And I'm like, good for you. I'm proud of you. Okay. All right. So part 2 will be model railroad roadbed materials. We'll talk about some of the options there. And some, and why this, why that, why not that, and so forth. And the bottom line is, my bottom line is, what works for you, and I'm happy for you. Okay. I'm not going to worry about it. If it works for you and you're happy with it, I'm happy for you too. But we'll talk about some of those. And remember, this is back to basics. If you know all this stuff, great. Some guys are brand new to this. They haven't laid a single piece of track, so it's good for them. And then part 3 is we're going to talk about prototype and model railroad ballast materials, because it's not all granite rock, right, Mike?
No, it's not, but that's what the mainline stuff.
Yeah, most of the mainline stuff is going to be granite rock, but yeah.
The reason for granite as opposed to limestone or something.
Oh, limestone. Interestingly enough, well, I don't know. Should I share that story now or save it for when I do that part, Barbara? About the McLeod. Oh, I'll share it now, because you guys will forget it by then anyway. Or Dawson will. So when Barbara and I were up at the McLeod taking pictures and doing measurements and so forth of rolling stock up there, we asked, and they said it was okay to collect a gallon bag of ballast from the McLeod. McLeod is kind of interesting. They actually mined their own ballast, and it was all red lava rock. So yes, we have a gallon baggie of, and that'll be more than enough for the little bit of McLeod that we're going on. Let's do a 5-minute break. What do you say? I'll start my timer.